The Chargers hype train just got more people on board. All aboard, baby. All right, hey, let's talk about that. Let's talk about some other things. But first, if you are new to this channel, my name is Craig. Me and my buddy Chris started this about a year ago, and we started it for a very specific purpose. All right, we are Detroit Lions fans. We live in Michigan. All right, and we therefore naturally are big U of M fans. Go Blue, right? Michigan Wolverines. And so we've been following Jim Harbaugh, but we've been following Jim Harbaugh since before, because you remember he was a quarterback at Michigan. He was a quarterback with the Bears, rivals of the Lions. He was a quarterback for the Chargers. We've always enjoyed watching the Chargers growing up, but we've always been around Harbaugh. So when he was out at Stanford, when he was on the West Coast with the 49ers and Stanford, right? Then when he came back to coach at Michigan, like, we've been following him. So when he went to the Chargers, we're like, we're not done with this guy. We want to continue because we know success follows him everywhere he goes. And there is a recent person. And so basically, here's the deal. We want to give you a non-biased opinion. And even though we're Lions fans, we want to be your go-to place for Chargers news, which, by the way, there's not a ton. There's not a ton of news outlets out there for the Chargers. They're going to be changing that. If they keep winning, the selling market's going to get behind them. But what I love is just that they bring in a coach, they bring in a culture, they bring in a way of winning that is the exact opposite of what you think of in LA. It's the exact opposite of what you think of in LA. In LA, you want the glitz, you want the glam, you want the Showtime Lakers, right? And Jim Harbaugh is going to come in there and be like, no. We're not doing that. We're not going to be you're thinking it would be like an air raid offense, beautiful, like shootout wins, stuff like that. And Harbaugh's like, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to run the football, and we're going to stop the run. And it's going to be boring at times. But you know what's not boring? W's. That's what's not boring, and that's what he's going with. And there's somebody that I actually greatly respect their opinion that is on the same wavelength. All right? There was a bold take recently by Colin Coward. Bold take. And he said they're a wild card team about your division rival, the Chiefs. And you're going to love why he said they're a wild card team. We're going to go into a couple of those quotes. But first, I want to talk about Colin Coward. Colin Coward every once in a while says something dumb, right? Every once in a while. But I remember, I'm old enough to remember when he was getting, kind of his break. He got his own radio show. Things were going well for him. And he had some unique takes. And probably 20 years ago, he started doing takes on quarterback that were different than anybody else. See, quarterback had always been an important position. But in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, it took a completely different look. And all of a sudden, there was this reality because you had teams all over the place that were really good teams. You had Super Bowl winning teams that didn't have good quarterbacks. And if you think about the last 25 years, really, the only team that didn't have a good quarterback was the Eagles with Foles. Like when they found a way to win it over the Patriots, and even that, it was like he was their backup, right? Like there was an all-star season, or not an all-star, but a Pro Bowl caliber season with the player in front of him until he got hurt. You need a good quarterback. But Colin Cowherd was on the early trend of this, of realizing like all you need is a good quarterback to be a good team in the NFL. And I remember starting to listen to some of his bold takes and unique different things when I heard him talking about who's the best quarterback. And he stopped looking at the whole roster. Like it was a factor, but the biggest factor was, do you have a good quarterback? And I wasn't happy about it at the time because it was so long ago that I believe the Lions quarterback was Joey Harrington, right? But so I was like, well, we don't have a quarterback, so that's no good. The NFL has changed. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to consistently win, and nobody's going to take you seriously as a Super Bowl threat. Now, both of these teams have a great quarterback. I understand that. But this is the take. All right, and here's what he had to say, and I want to make sure that I'm getting this correct. So I'm going to go ahead and show it to you and make sure that you can see it. Here's the quote. He said, I think that Kansas City is a wild card team. And he's not saying it because of what they struggle with. He's saying it because of what the Chargers are. I want to be clear on that. Coward said, Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, now they have their running back situation, offensive tackle set, upgraded receiver. Last year, the only thing they were missing was juice offensively. Their defense finished almost near the top of the league. It went from near last to first in 1 year. They built the culture last year, but free agency in the draft, you know Harbaugh's good at the draft. I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the league. Do you agree? What is your confidence level? Because I think what I've been hearing a lot of is Chargers fans being like, did we do enough? Did we do enough in free agency? Did we do enough in the draft? And the reality is, like, yeah, Bosa's gone. So what? Because he was going to be gone for at least 12 games anyway with injury. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. Now Tui can have a shot, right? And he can play every down. And you have other rookies that can step up and come in and get some PT. Other than that, you kept things very status quo and just added a piece here or there. Just got a little deeper at wide receiver. Like, the defense was really, really good. And this is kind of what you'll see is with Jim Harbaugh teams. It's, all right, we get the defense set, and then we have to figure out our offense after the defense, so that's what they're doing, and then they go and they bolster the defense. So first year was, all right, defense is pretty well set. This year it was, let's go get our offense set, and I think the offense is pretty well set now. And then next offseason, believe it or not, is when you're going to go out and bolster your defense even more. And I truly believe that is the way you are going to go forward and build this team. Now, do I think Colin Coward might be 1 year early? I might. I might think that, if I'm being completely honest. But here's some things you have to recognize about the Chiefs. They went 15-2 last year. I think that was what I saw the record was. That's nuts. I thought they were 14-3. But anyways, you look at the Chiefs. You look at Patrick Mahomes. And yes, I know it sounds crazy, but the best quarterbacks with the best numbers are the ones who have the best weapons. And no, he has not had great weapons the last couple of years. I will be the first to admit that. His numbers are not good. Like, they're not great. But when I say they're not great, I'm not talking about overall touchdowns and total yards. I'm not even talking touchdown to interception ratios. I'm talking about efficiency metrics. What made the Chiefs superheroes, right, was the ability for the deep ball. It was Tyreek Hill. It was the ability to go long. It was Kelsey stretching the field vertically in the middle. And then Kelsey continued to get older. They traded Tyreek Hill. They find guys to try and replace that. They couldn't. But Patrick Mahomes' efficiency has been terrible. And why? When it comes to deep ball throwing, he has been a bottom 3 quarterback in the league when it comes to accuracy with the deep ball. And I don't think it's just because Tyreek Hill's gone. Because you could make the argument, oh, well, now they have Xavier Worthy, right? So they have that fast guy they have that fast guy that can take the top off the defense. The issue with his accuracy stems from the offensive line. It does. When you don't have time to throw, your feet get a little happy, and any mechanics that are off when it comes to a deep ball drastically change it. Because that little bit of change creates a big problem. So that's what I think that the Chiefs are going to be dealing with this year. And I think the Chargers are built to be able to handle them. They're built very, very, what's the word I want to use? Offensively, they're very balanced. That's how you beat this Chiefs defense. And defensively, they know how to stop what the Chiefs are going to do. All right. I think there's a shot. I think Colin Coward might not be wrong. Just wanted to give some hype. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.